Hello and welcome. My name is Adit Madan, and I'm a product and a product marketing manager here at Alluxio. Today, I'm excited to share some new product developments with you. Specifically, we'll look at how to operate Alluxio efficiently at scale and some recent product features to greatly improve the experience. Alluxio's data orchestration platform is needed for many different environments across regions, compute systems, storage systems, and also private or public clouds. On the top of this picture, you see different compute systems which may all interrupt for a single data platform across different stages of the data pipeline. For example, Spark for streaming, ingestion, or ETL, Presto for BI or ad hoc analysis, and TensorFlow and PyTorch for AI applications. For a globally distributed platform, these compute systems connect to data sources across private data centers or public clouds. Some of these data sources are represented on the bottom in the form of Hadoop data lakes and cloud storage, Amazon S3, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Storage. Alluxio's data orchestration platform is available on all major cloud providers and also containerized or bare metal environments. A data orchestration platform streamlines the movement of data across the data pipeline. Data is made available to stages without delays for data copies or transformation of representation. On this slide, we'll see three simple use cases where compute systems are connected to data sources across different data centers. First, we have analytics in a public cloud accessing data in a private data center without copying the data over to the cloud first. For this scenario, ephemeral or elastic compute resources are leveraged without copying data to cloud storage first. In this case, analytics is migrated to the cloud first, while ingestion, ETL, and other stages of the data pipeline remain unchanged, and new changes which appear on premises are made available in the cloud without a delay. Second is the reverse, where AI applications on one or more on-premises clusters are accessing shared cloud storage. Now, in this scenario, model training by developers across a globally distributed team operate on a single data source in the cloud. Network egress costs are tremendously reduced by eliminating unnecessary replication of data. And the last one here, we have analytics or AI applications accessing data across private data centers. For users to access data in a different geographical region, network traffic is controlled again based on policies and access-based movement of data. With all these three configurations, allow for optimal resource utilization across business units in different regions. Here is another look at how a global data platform may look like. On the top, we have the public cloud clusters across providers. On the bottom, we have private data centers. For frameworks across these environments, all data access goes through a data orchestration platform. Such a platform, which may operate on a single persistent copy of data, makes only logical copies of data based on the access needs. For example, data ingested in the data center 1, as seen on the bottom left picture, side of this picture, has a single persistent copy in data center 1, and only logical copies are made and managed seamlessly by the orchestration platform when this data is accessed across regions and different clusters. Now, you may look at that picture and say that operating an environment like that is going to be hard. And you're right, naively managing a global data platform spanning environments is not easy. Here are 3 reasons why, and there are many more not captured here. First, making network connections to multiple data sources and validating the environment is non-trivial. Working across infrastructure teams, there can be significant challenges onboarding new technology and also updating the way data is accessed. These challenges cause onboarding and subsequent operational delays. Failures can be frequent, so proactive detection and troubleshooting is important. Monitoring on its own is not sufficient, but observations need to be actionable to prevent production issues and have the ability to recover without downtime. And next, security credentials and configuration are often dynamic. These can be a management nightmare if not done correctly. To avoid operational complexity, a great amount of pre-production work is needed. So, how do we approach this problem? We need the right set of tools to operate a complex data infrastructure. At Alluxio, we are building tools to make your data platform easy to operate and more efficient. Today, I'm very excited to announce the launch of Data Orchestration Hub, your single pane of glass to manage data orchestration. The Hub, as we call it, is a new service with a web UI for central control of an Alluxio deployment. There are several beneficial features even in this initial release. The first is self-guided visits for Alluxio newbies to connect to multiple data sources with additional tools for connection validation. In addition to that, you can monitor and troubleshoot cluster operations for a large number of cases. These tools help diagnose issues, but not only that, also provide actionable insights to fix the issues that are observed. All this without leaving a central dashboard. At the end of this talk, you will witness the hub in action, including the use of self-guided visits to connect Alluxio to multiple data sources. So stay tuned. In addition to the hub, we've continued to remove third-party dependencies to make the system, which is Alluxio, easier to operate. The default product configuration no longer depends on a system like Zookeeper. We've achieved this by improving the scalability of an embedded journal system for master consensus. With this development, we continue to break away from our roots in Hadoop-based data lakes to be more cloud native and also environment agnostic. The scale of metadata management service of this metadata management service allows Alluxio to span data sources across both cloud storage and on-premises data centers, all at the same time. Next, for management of sensitive data across on-prem and cloud environments, Alluxio now integrates with a central secret management system in the form of HashiCorp Vault. With deployments across, more and more deployments across low trust networks and the elasticity of cloud resources, security and ease of management were 2 key goals of this effort. But that's not it. There were many more developments that I can cover in a short period of time today. More DevOps and monitoring improvements include failure detection and asynchronous operations across the system, failure detection of asynchronous operations across the system, and improved user feedback. Deployment in the cloud are easier than ever before with new Terraform modules available for multiple cloud providers, including Amazon and GCP. Java 11 support was also added this year, which also greatly simplifies the use of Alluxio in environments that require Java 11 itself. Okay, so enough with the overview. Now, let's take a specific use case and look at it in more detail to observe the journey of the tools that I just outlined. With a data orchestration approach, you can leverage a public cloud without abandoning your on-premises infrastructure. You can accelerate your journey to the cloud by mitigating the need to move data to the clouds first. You are able to get the desired performance acceleration with efficient caching and data representation. You can operate your environment easily with extremely limited changes. So this means that when you add a new environment, you don't need to make significant changes to the existing one. And lastly, with your on-premises infrastructure, it's easier to integrate with that to avoid delays of adopting a new cloud paradigm. This is the use case I'm focusing on today to demonstrate the recent product developments that I just talked about. Now, you may ask, how do I, as someone who does not have a PhD in Alluxio, set this environment up? For that, we take a look at the journey and the toolset available to launch and connect Alluxio in a public cloud with data sources on premises. The first step is to establish a network connection between a public cloud and a corporate network using site-to-site VPN or faster alternatives like Amazon's Direct Connect. And the same is applicable across different cloud providers. This step involves setting up of firewall rules, both on the Amazon side and also the corporate network, and later validating this connection. Then simply launch a cluster in the established VPC, which has on-prem connectivity. Alluxio provided Terraform modules can be used to provision cloud resources, include the compute instances on which Presto, Spark, TensorFlow, or other applications run, and also the networking stack on the Amazon side. Security and advanced configuration can also be made at the time of launch, but as we'll see later in this presentation, we'll demonstrate the use of the hub to further customize a configuration which you may not be familiar with. Next, use the Data Orchestration Hub to connect the public cloud cluster with data sources on premises. This is where we begin a demo today, right after this slide. After all that, you're pretty much done. So now you can start running analytics or AI jobs in the cloud on data sources which reside on premises. With that overview, I'm going to switch to a demo to visualize what we talked about. Now, when we begin this demo, we have an existing Alluxio cluster up in Amazon, which was launched using the Terraform scripts that I just talked about. Once I have the cluster up, I simply go to the URL on which the Alluxio Data Orchestration Hub manager or the master of the hub was installed. I log into the system using admin provided credentials. On the central dashboard, I can view the status of different processes in the cluster, but also start or stop any of the existing processes. Next up, I'm going to connect Alluxio to different data sources. First is my HDFS as a data source, which is representing my on-premises HDFS cluster. As you can see, I note down a particular directory in HDFS, which I'm going to use as a data source for Alluxio. I connect this using a self-guided wizard in which I simply add the address of the HDFS name node and the path in HDFS, which I want to access using Alluxio. Using a few simple configurations and also including security configurations, I can first configure the system. Then, as you can see now, I can validate the configuration. So this is going to make a connection to the on-premises cluster and give me suggestions in case there were failures. Once the connection is made, I apply it and I go to the Alluxio master UI to observe that the files in the HDFS data source, which I just connected, and are now available in the Alluxio file system namespace. Now I can include multiple data sources at the same time with Alluxio. The next thing that I'm going to do is include an S3 bucket which I just showed you and mount that to Alluxio. I'm going to use a different path within Alluxio to hold the directories and the files in the S3 bucket that I just showed you. Similar to what we just did before, we can inspect the Alluxio file system namespace to see that everything that was under the bucket that I just mounted to Alluxio is available in the Alluxio file system namespace. Similar to data sources, I can also connect metadata sources to Alluxio and the compute clusters using self-guided wizards. Now, once my data and metadata sources are connected, I'm now ready to run jobs. But before doing that, I'm going to also validate the speed of connectivity between my Alluxio cluster and my on-premises data source. So what this is doing is it's going to do some read and write operations over the network to my HDFS cluster. And in case the speed did not match what I expected to be, I can use the Data Orchestration Hub to debug those issues. Now, more than what I just showed you, typical workflows for debugging frequently involve changing the log level so that I can look at different logs for what's going on in the system. Now, even for changing the logs, I do not need to leave the Data Orchestration Hub, the dashboard that it provides, to make these changes. Once the changes are applied, I would restart the Alluxio master or the processes I intended the configuration to be directed towards, and I can observe the desired level of logging for these processes. So what did we just see? First, we logged into the Data Orchestration Hub console, which was running on Amazon EC2. We looked at the dashboard to see the status of different processes, and we stopped one process that was running on the cluster. Next, we used the wizard for connecting Alluxio to HDFS as one of our data sources, and we validated the configuration and applied the configuration to Alluxio. Now, in case there were firewall issues or the other issues that we talked about before, this wizard would have given me actionable insight into how I should fix those errors. Next up was the use of the Amazon S3 wizard, which was to connect Alluxio to an Amazon S3 bucket as a data source. With that, we saw that both data sources, which were HDFS and S3, were visible in the same namespace for Alluxio. So when you're using an application like Presto or Spark or TensorFlow, you would be able to access multiple data sources at the same time in the same namespace. That was it. So after a few simple steps and without going through complex documentation, I was able to use the Data Orchestration Hub dashboard to be ready for analytics and AI. I hope you liked what you saw. Now, where do we go from here? As you'll observe, it is not uncommon to have multiple instances of Alluxio across the data platform that your environment. Now, this data platform may be spanning different environments like resource managers like Yarn or Kubernetes, but also different regions and environments. In future releases, we are moving from a management view per cluster, which is what you just saw, to a single view across all your clusters. I am very excited about this journey ahead of us, and I hope that you all will take part in it by shaping the future together. You are welcome to start using the hub right away for all your data orchestration needs. And all of us here at Alluxio are very happy to support you with your journey. Thank you all, and welcome to day 2 of the summit.